Good evening, one and all. Myself, Karthik. I'll be the trainer for you throughout this CSP course. So this course lasts somewhere around 5 to 6 months. So it is a flexible course. We'll be training you in this particular topic from the scratch itself. So don't worry, regardless of your backgrounds. Some of you might be from IT background or CSE background, right? Online, how many of you are from IT or CSE background? Can you confirm by typing one in the chat? Offline, you can kindly raise your hands. One.
Hi, this is Ram. I'm
Sir,
from IT
please
background.
mute your mic. Please only reply through chat. Okay, no one online. Okay, that's fine. So many of you are not familiar with most of these terminologies and all, right? So don't worry about it. All you have to know is, yeah, finance background. Okay. All you have to know is basics like how to use a computer, how to browse internet, how to install applications. That's it. We are not asking much from you. So basic internet usage and computer usage is more than enough for this particular course. So penetration testing, as I was talking earlier, is nothing but hacking into the systems. When I say hacking, it's not Facebook hacking or Snapchat hacking or Instagram hacking. Hacking in the essence means, for example, if I want to test my computer, what sort of bugs it has when I am implementing it to my organization. So I'll conduct a series of tests on my computer so that it is bug free. So that is nothing but penetration testing. For example, I might conduct this penetration testing on my networks. I might conduct this on my computers. I might test this on some applications. For example, my computer is running a Zoom version, which is an old one. So it has some bugs. So this might lead to the hack of my computer. So anything that is a loophole is tested in this particular penetration testing process. So that will be discussed clearly, and I'll give you an overview in this particular demonstrative session of how and the topics that are there as part of this module. So we'll have an overview of this particular course, right? So without any further ado, let me start my presentation here. So online, please stop drawing these things here. Okay, it's my bad giving permissions. Yeah. So yeah, as part of this particular course, you'll be having 24 modules. So starting from introduction to cybersecurity and ending with SOC, you'll be having an overall 24 modules. So basically, we are going to teach you a new platform called Linux here. So many of you might be familiar with Windows operating system or Mac operating system, or when it comes to mobiles, Android mobiles. So Linux is something which is new to most of you people, most of the attendees that generally take up this course. So we'll start from the basics, like basic definitions, Linux commands, how to create users, add users, etc. in the basic modules of this particular course, which is module number 1, 2, and 3. Coming to module number 4 and 5, you'll be dealing with networking concepts. So as I said earlier, many of you are not from IT background, right? So you might not be familiar with all these networking concepts and fundamentals. So those will be discussed as part of module 4 and 5. Coming to module number 6, 7, and 8, this is where you'll be stepping into penetration testing process, which is nothing but VAPT. So in this particular module number 6, you will be identifying vulnerabilities. You will be dealing with different sort of network scanning techniques, port scanning techniques, etc. As part of module 7 and 8, you will be jumping directly into this penetration testing process using different kinds of tools. We'll see what these individual modules holds in a while, but for now, bear with me. So in module number 9, you are going to look at cryptography. And module number 10 is Active Directory pen testing. This is widely implemented practice in organizations. So 11 is cybersecurity compliances. Compliances are nothing but sets of standards and rules. So coming to module number 12 and 13 and 14, you'll be dealing with web application pen testing. So we'll be starting from web fundamentals and completing with the bug bounty secrets in this particular section of this particular course. So module number 15, 16, 17, 18, will be like a revision module for you. So basically, you'll be dealing with different wide range of modules in cybersecurity, like mobile platforms, Wi-Fi platforms, social engineering platforms, cloud security platforms, etc. So what are all those knowledge you gained in the earlier modules will be reutilized in this particular four modules. So moving on, you will be having some advanced concepts in computers like scripting. So scripting is not necessary for this particular course, but knowing an additional thing is as an add-on. I'll tell you how you use this particular scripting thing for penetration testing purposes in this particular module. Module number 20 and 21 will be dealing with binary analysis fundamentals and binary exploitation. And finally, we'll be having SOC for these last three modules 22, 23, and 24. So you'll be dealing with two new softwares like Curadar and Splunk. These are widely used in the industry. So yeah, that's pretty much the outlook of this particular course. Let's dive into individual topics. So module number one is introduction to cybersecurity. So as I said earlier, it will start from basics. We'll be dealing with basic definitions as part of this particular module, common terminologies that are part of hacking environment, like vulnerability, threat, and risk. For example, you are a person. You might have some vulnerabilities. Every person, every human being has a vulnerability. What is it? What is it? Any answers? Online? Yeah, vulnerability in the sense some weakness. Yeah, everyone has one weakness in common. What is it? Death, right? That is inevitable. Everyone has that weakness that can be exploited, right? So every system or network or applications has a vulnerability, has some vulnerabilities. Maybe some have, some might not have. So that will be this is the basic idea of vulnerability. Like such, we have threat and risk. So there are many other common terminologies used as this in this particular course. So those will be discussed as part of this module number one. Also, there is something called stages of hacking. For example, I want to do something. I want to cook some dish. There will be steps, right? I have to, put the pan on the stove, heat the oil, cut some vegetables and all. So, likewise, in hacking, we have different stages, starting from footprinting to erasing our footprints. So, basically, if I want to hack a target, I will gather as much as information I want, right? So, if I want to, scam a person, I'll gather his name, his mobile number, his email address, his home address, office address, etc. So that is called, gathering information, which is nothing but footprinting. So those steps will be discussed in this particular module number one. Moving on, we have Linux essentials. As I said earlier, Linux is a new software for you, right? New operating system. So this particular thing will be taught as part of this particular module number two. So here comes a new concept called virtualization. So in your laptops or desktops, you will be having an operating system as either Windows or Mac operating system, right? So yeah. So if you want to practice this Linux operating system, you might ask, should I buy a new laptop for that? No. So to practice for the practice purpose of practice, we are going to introduce to you a new software called VirtualBox. So this is the interface of VirtualBox. There are a bunch of different other softwares that can provide this virtualization thing, but this particular VirtualBox is user friendly. So you can see here I have installed two machines here. So you'll be installing bunch of different other machines as part of this course. So at present my Kali Linux is running. So if you go to settings tab, let's wait for it. Yeah. So if you go to settings tab, you'll be looking into different kinds of setups here. So in this particular system thing, can you see my screen clearly? So I have a total of 16 GB RAM. I have allocated 4 GB. So I have 8 processors. I have assigned 4 processors. So basically what I'm doing is I'm creating a virtual instance of Kali Linux, right? So that I don't have to buy a new system, which is cost effective, which is costlier process. So we have here, just a second. So here we have something called network. So at present, I'm in bridged adapter mode. Sorry. So since I'm sharing my screen, okay, that's fine. We have different adapter settings here. So those things will be discussed. So we have basically bridged adapter, NAT network, NAT adapters, host only. So these things will be discussed. How to create your own virtual machine there, set up it properly, and all will be discussed as part of this module. So let's look at the interface of Kali here. So I'm logging in as root user. So this is my Kali Linux interface. Basically, you'll have a desktop here, same like your Windows. You'll be these are the files that I created. These three files. So this is your Firefox browser, which is the default browser in Kali. You can install Chrome or any other browsers depending on your requirement. So this is the folders. This is the application tab where you can search for applications. So this is your text editor, mousepad, just like notes in your Windows. So these are different desktop screens, and this is something called terminal. This is the thing that you will be using the most in this particular course. So any command, this is just like the command prompt in your Windows. So if you type CMD, you'll have a command prompt, right? So you'll run any commands through command prompt in Windows. Just like that, we have terminal in Linux. So through this particular interface, you can type any command. For example, I want to type ls, which is nothing but list. I am listing all the files that are there in this particular directory. So I have these directories as part of this particular directory. So if I want to go to desktop, I'll use a command called cd desktop, which is nothing but change directory. So if I go to desktop and I type ls again, you can see I have two files, kali.jpg and pingsweep. So you can see these two files here as well in my desktop. So this is how you navigate between the directories using command prompt, sorry, terminal. Also, we have a bunch of different other commands like ifconfig. So anyone can tell what is basically displaying here online. Yeah, VMware also. Okay, can anyone tell what this information is telling me? Yeah, IP address exactly. Offline. Okay. So this is my IPv4 address. So this is how you utilize these commands, to navigate or utilize this particular Kali Linux software. You can go with graphical interface also, but learning commands is must and should, because just imagine a scenario where I hack into some other's PC. So there I won't be getting this graphical interface. I won't find these colors, these tabs, etc. So there only I'll be getting this particular terminal. So I have to do anything through this terminal only. If I want to exfiltrate data, if I want to put some malware in it, if I want to open a backdoor, anything is possible only through this terminal. So that is the reason you should be thorough with these commands. So don't worry, you don't have to by heart these commands or anything. If you keep on practicing regularly, you'll be habituated to them. There is no big deal. You can also utilize cheat sheets available online. For example, I'll open my browser here. So if you go with uh, Kali CLI commands, so you can get. So if I go with cheat sheet, so you can get a bunch of different links that contain different commands. So there will be explanation as well about how to use these particular commands, etc. in these websites. So don't worry about that. Commands you can learn, no issues. So moving on. So that is Linux essentials. Moving on, we have Linux administration. So earlier we have seen how to navigate between directories, how to list files, etc. Right? So what is the command that I used? So when I am in CD desktop and I typed ls, you can see I have two files here. So if I go with ls followed by some extra options like la, I can see more details regarding these two files. So basically here what is happening is it is saying it is displaying the details of owner of this particular file, which is root, and the group to which this particular file belongs to, which is also root. So basically, this kali.jpg belongs to the user root. It also is a part of a group called root. So here are some other details, right? You can see RW, R. Here you can see RWX. So what are these terminologies actually mean is R is nothing but read, which is nothing but if you are opening a text file. So you have to have read permissions to see the contents of that particular file, right? If you want to edit or modify the contents of that particular text file, you have to have write permissions, execute permissions. So normal text files doesn't need execute permissions. Only setup files or any executable files need execute permissions. For example, you are downloading a software, you are downloading a game, right? You downloaded a game, you downloaded games from internet, right? Earlier online. So what is it? What is the file that you will be executing when you download a game from the internet or any other software for that matter? Setup file, right? You'll have a setup file or application file. Yeah, installer file. You'll double tap on that installer file. You'll hit next, 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 accept, done. That's it. That's how you install packages in Windows. So basically, any executable files need execute permissions, which is nothing but X. So these permissions, how to provide these permissions to files, how to remove permissions to files will be discussed in this particular Linux administration module. Apart from that, we have something called special permissions. So that will also be discussed as part of this particular module. We have something called services. Just give me a second here. All right. Okay. So we have something called FTP service. For example, I have a machine in my network with IP address 10.10. Let me check. So 190 is the IP address of that particular machine. So I'm connecting to that particular machine using FTP service 10.0.0.190. So I'm not executing anything. I'm just providing normal details. I'm not providing a password as well. I'm just hitting enter. So I'm inside that particular thing. So if I type ls here, I can see there is a file called secret. So this FTP service is used to transfer files in an organization. So here you can see that there is a file here called secret. So I want to read the contents of this particular secret file. So normally I'll open another terminal. I'll go to desktop again. So here I have this pingsweep.sh file, right? If I want to read the contents of this particular file, I can go with a command called cat pingsweep.sh. You can see the contents of this particular file. But in this particular instance, cat doesn't work. So we have to download this particular file onto our system and utilize the cat utility to read the contents of this particular file. So let me do that using a command called get. So you can see that the file is downloaded and I'll say bye to this FTP thing. If I go with ls again, you can see there is a file called secret. So if I go with cat secret, yeah, there is your passphrase. Can you see the text here? Yeah, it is revealing the secret of Batman. So basically, this is how some people store their passwords in FTP services. So if you are fortunate enough to gain access on such file, it will be your hacking process will become very easy. So this is called bad file permissions, or keeping the files without security measures. So that is FTP for you. So basically, there will be looking at different services and processes as part of this particular Linux administration module. Moving on, we have network fundamentals. So with module number 3, we will be done with the basics of Linux and Linux administration. Moving on, we'll have network fundamentals. So as part of this particular module, we'll be looking at different networking concepts: IP address, what is IP address, what is MAC address, what are different network protocols. For example, I'm talking with you. What I'm using mobile device. So this mobile device is the medium between us. Similarly, when two computers are talking with each other or communicating with each other, they'll have to follow such sets of protocols. For example, TCP protocol, UDP protocol, ICMP, ARP, etc. So these protocols will be discussed clearly in a while. But for now, focus on this particular thing. So network services. So we have different network services like DNS, domain name server, DHCP, SNMP, FTP. Earlier we have seen FTP service, right? We used it to transfer files between the systems. So here I have shown you FTP service. So this is FTP service. So how to set up this FTP service, how to enumerate this FTP service will be discussed in the further modules. But for now, let's focus on this particular module. So as part of module 4, we have one other important tool called Wireshark. So let me show you Wireshark in my Kali Linux. So if I go to applications, if I search for Wireshark, you'll get the interface of Wireshark. So basically, Wireshark is a packet sniffing tool. It is not a hacking tool. Whatever the traffic that is coming to my system and leaving my system will be captured through using Wireshark. So this is something called display filter, and this is something called capture filter. You have buttons like start, stop, restart, etc. in this particular tab. If I go with ETH0, which is my interface, you can see different packets coming and leaving from my system. So if I go with stop, you can see that there is a time, source, destination, protocol. Earlier I said UDP protocol, right? So you can see what protocol these two devices are using to talk with each other. So source IP is 192 and destination IP is 170 dot something something. So this is how Wireshark captures different packets that are coming to the interface. So for now, let me start. Okay, continue without saving. Start this Wireshark capture once again. I'll open browser. So I'll open an insecure website called altoromutual.com. So here it is. So this is your typical banking page, right? So if I go with sign in option, if I use username admin, also I'm using password as admin. I'm not sure, let me type again. Okay, don't save. And I'm logged in as admin user. So I'll keep this aside. I'll open my Wireshark. I'll stop the capture. I'll apply a simple display filter called HTTP. So these are all the HTTP packets that are passing through my interface. So I have something called post login packet here. Can you see my screen clearly? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Uh, Not responding. Just a second online. Okay, let me restart. So while it is restarting, let us discuss other things. So I'll get to Wireshark in a second. But for now, let's focus on module number 5, network security. So in this particular module, we'll be looking at IP spoofing. Earlier, I've said we'll be looking at basics of IP addresses, like what is IP address, etc. Right? So in this particular module, we'll be seeing something called IP spoofing. We'll be using different techniques like proxy chaining, or we'll be using VPNs, VPS, etc. to hide our IP in on while we are surfing the internet. For example, if I'm opening a website, the request is being sent using my IP address, my public IP address. So the receiver or whatever the domain I'm requesting for example, I'm trying to log into Facebook. So Facebook will know through which public IP address I'm logging in. So to not expose my public IP address, I'll use something called VPN or proxy chains. So that will be discussed in a while when my Kali is up and ready. But for now, let's see other things. As part of this particular module, we'll be focusing on firewalls. Firewalls are nothing but defenses that are implemented in our organization from external networks. So I have different computers, servers, different devices in my organization. I want to protect these devices from external threats, external, networks. So what will I do? I'll implement something called firewalls. Firewalls can be softwares, hardwares, or combination of both. So there is something called IDS and IPS, intrusion detection system and prevention system. So, as the name suggests, intrusion detection system detects whatever the bad packets or bad traffic that is coming into our organization and alerts the admin user. Whereas intrusion prevention system identifies the threat and neutralizes it. For example, you have firewall in your Windows, right? So what will it do? If you download some malicious file, it will quarantine that particular thing, or else it will remove that one. So IPS acts in a similar way. So we also have something called honeypots. So basically, for example, I'm running FTP service in my organization. Some hacker is trying to scan the ports. Okay. So what I will do is I'll install one another machine, which is a fake one, to distract the hacker. For example, hacker tries to scan my network. He'll see 10 machines. In that 10 machines, there will be my honeypot. So in this particular honeypot, I'll open all the ports. I'll make it look like it is vulnerable, just like a scapegoat, or not scapegoat, just like bait. When you go to fishing, you'll use some bait, right, to catch the fish. Just like that, this honeypot is a bait to the hacker. So hacker will think, okay, this particular machine is interesting. These are some interesting ports in it. So I'll try to hack this particular system. So when he tries to hack that particular system, depending on the type of honeypot I implemented, I can be able to capture the movements of the hacker. I can be able to capture his IP address. So what is the benefit for the organization in this particular thing is we'll be wasting time and resources of the hacker there. Also, we'll be able to understand how these attacks will happen, through what vulnerable services these attacks are happening. So it is up and running. So I'll open Wireshark once again, also my browser. I'm logged in successfully. I'll apply HTTP filter once again. And here we have some packets. If I go with this particular packet, so this is the issue basically. Since I'm using different screen here, okay, let me do one thing. So here it is. So you can see I selected this particular packet and I went to HTML from URL encoded, and I can see the username that I entered and the password that I entered, right? So this is the way how we use this particular Wireshark thing to capture the packets and analyze the packets. So this is not a hacking tool. This is only a sniffing tool. Just because we used a weak website, which is HTTP website, okay, so that's the reason why we are able to capture these packets and see the information that is being transferred between that domain and my system. So this is all about Wireshark. So I'm ending it. We don't have to, we should not run this particular Wireshark for longer periods, because it will, utilize all the resources. As you can see earlier, what happened. So I was talking about IP spoofing, right? So let me come back to that. So if I go to some website and say what is my IP, I'll just type this thing and I'll search it in Google. So there are a bunch of different websites. I'll go with this NordVPN one. So it is giving out my public IP address. Also, it is saying that I'm in Telangana, Hyderabad, India, right? Okay, I'll close this particular thing. I'll open my command prompt or terminal once again. So this time I'll do something called, I'll start a service called Tor. Service Tor start. So the service is started. So this time I'm opening my Firefox not through this graphical interface, but through proxy chains. So instance of Firefox is open. So let me search the same thing once again. What is my IP? Yeah, here it is. So I'll go to the same website once again. So since we are using proxy chains, our internet will be not as much reliable as it was earlier. Let us wait for it to load. So I'm in Switzerland, Zurich now. So that's how you utilize these particular tools to hide yourself on the internet. So whatever the traffic is going to this particular nordvpn.com is going from Switzerland server or a machine that is there in Switzerland, Zurich. So this is one advantage when you utilize these services. For example, a site is banned in India, but you want to access that particular site. So you can use these type of services to utilize that. So many of you might be familiar with VPNs, right? Online. Yeah, TCP dump it is, not DCP dump. We'll discuss TCP dump as well, Mr. Amer. So I was talking about something called, yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Because some services or some websites are banned in those particular countries. So you have to utilize VPN. Yes, exactly. So yeah, right. Okay. So anyone are familiar with VPNs, online and offline? Yeah, you said it. Online. So when Indian government banned BGMI or PUBG, many of you utilized VPNs to access that particular game, right? So yeah, many of you are familiar, I guess, but not revealing it. It's okay. So let's move on to the another topic, which is module number 6, vulnerability management. So in this particular module, we are going to be looking at something called vulnerability assessment and vulnerability management. Just like I said earlier, vulnerability is a weakness, right? So we'll be analyzing a system or we'll be scanning a system and looking for weaknesses in it. We will be using a very famous tool called Nmap for this particular purpose. So using this Nmap, we'll be scanning this particular network. Let me show you. So earlier I've accessed this 190 machine, right, using FTP service. So yeah, let me scan that particular service once again. Nmap 10.0.0.190. So as you can see, I scanned this particular 10.0.0.190 machine, and we are able to identify these many number of open ports. So earlier we accessed this particular FTP service. Let me scan this particular machine once again, but this time I'll focus on only this particular port number 21. I'll be using something called script scan and service version detection scan. So as you can see here, port number 21 is running on VSF TPD 2.3.4 version. Also, you can see a bunch of different information here. Earlier, we logged in using only FTP and no password. So that is because this particular vulnerability is there in this particular port, anonymous FTP login allowed. So if you allow users to log in as an anonymous user without specifying any username and password, that is a vulnerability. So earlier we have seen this particular secret file, which might be a valuable file, But at this particular instance, it is not. But if it is, it will lead to severe vulnerability or severe, attack in that particular machine. So this is how you utilize this nmap utility using different options to scan for open ports and identify vulnerabilities. For example, here I came across this VSF TPD 2.3.4, right? Keep this in mind. We'll discuss this particular thing in the next module. So as part of this particular module, we'll be utilizing nmap to scan using different techniques like I'll go with XMA scan or fin scan, null scan. So these are different methodologies that are utilized through this particular nmap tool. Also, we'll be looking at something called patches and updates. So if there is any vulnerability, for example, I scanned my uh, Windows machine. So I came to know that there are some vulnerabilities and I'm using Windows 10. So what I will do, if there is a Windows 11 update available, I'll update that particular thing so that my machine will be up to date and is bug free, right? So similarly, if you are going with scanning, will be also facing with something called patches. So in industry or when in organizations, when you are called upon to do some pen tests, so you'll go there, you'll conduct series of tests. So different scanning techniques or different hacking techniques, etc. You'll perform them and you'll identify certain bugs. So based on the bugs you found, you'll be suggesting the organization to upgrade to particular thing or remove this usage of this particular service, etc. For example, in this instance, you came across 2.3.4 ESFTPD. So this is an older version of ESFTPD. When you go with newer version, you might not be facing as many bugs as in this particular older version. So that is nothing but patching. So if I open internet, if I search for VSF TPD 2.3.4 exploits, you can see there are a bunch of different websites that are claiming that there is a backdoor in this particular version of VSFTPD. So this is an older version of VSFTPD. So basically, this is how you analyze and scan a particular machine and look for the exploits. So that's it for this particular module. Moving on, we have network pen testing. So this is where VAPT starts. This is where VAPT starts. So in this particular thing, we are going to start with something called footprinting. As I said earlier, there are methods for hacking. So footprinting is the basic method. So this is where we'll be collecting information regarding the target. For example, I'll go to to my terminal once again. I'll say who is. Give me a website, anyone, any website, online, offline, anyone, some website, anything, Facebook, Instagram, anything you wish. Gmail, no, something else. Gmail is a service. Yeah, give me a domain. Anything. Mintra.com, right? MYN, sorry. There you go. So I just queried regarding this particular Mintra.com website by asking who it is, just like asking who are you. Yeah. So I got a bunch of different details here. So if you go through this details, if I scroll down, so registrant details here. So you can see here, registrant name is registration private. So they are hiding their details. It's okay. They provided their address here, 2155 E Warner Road, city is Tempe, Arizona, which is in US. We also got their postal code, phone number. For example, think of a scenario where I'm doing this on a normal website, which or a local website. Okay. So in that case, since Myntra is a big organization, you might not be utilizing these details in an effective way. For example, think of it like if this is a normal small business owner, and he is running some website for a small business, right? So in that scenario, you'll be able to see his name here, his actual address or business address, his mobile number, his email address, etc. So what can you do with those details? You can build a profile. I can send phishing emails to his email. I can call him and pretend to be someone else. I can call him and say, I'm calling from so and so service. I want to know some details regarding you. So I can, catfish him into something, right? So this is how you utilize these open source tools to gather information. So this is not hacking. This is purely white hat. You are only utilizing Google. For example, I am saying same thing. If I go to sorry, who is lookup. So here it is. So if you type any domain here, for example, facebook.com, so you'll get bunch of different details regarding Facebook. Earlier, it is something else. It is domain name here. So Meta Platforms, Willow Road, CA, which is California, some email address, mobile number, right? So this is purely white hat. You are only utilizing the resources that are available in the internet to gather the information. So for example, if like I said earlier, if this is a small owner, I might say I'm calling from GoDaddy. So he's using GoDaddy services. So I'll say I'm calling from GoDaddy, and your website registration is about to expire. So you have to pay this much amount of money to renew it, and I'll send him a link, payment link. So he'll pay me. So if he is paranoid and if he is not, attentive to details, so that will be discussed in social engineering. So this is all about network pen testing. Sorry, not network pen testing. Sorry about that. So let me come back to network pen testing. So in this particular module, number 7, network pen testing, we'll be looking at something called a Metasploit, which is a framework. If I go with MSF console-q, so this will load a Metasploit framework. So this particular framework is not a tool. This particular thing contains different details like different exploits, different auxiliary modules. For example, earlier we have done nmap scan, right? So that nmap scan is done using a tool command, right? So instead of using that particular nmap command, you can execute a module that is available in this particular framework. Or else, so earlier when we searched internet for VSF TPD exploits, you came across this particular website where it is giving me that there is a backdoor command execution, and I'm also able to download this exploit, right? So this is a manual process. This is an automated process. For example, I'll search the same thing here. Search, sorry, VSF TPD 2.3.4. So I got a exploit here. So I'll utilize this particular exploit, use 0. So if I want to know more about this exploit, I can read the info page of that particular exploit, but I'm not doing that right now. So let me check the options that I have to provide. So it is saying R port, yes. So it is already given R port is 21 since FTP service is running on port number 21. Also, I have to provide rhost. Rhost is nothing but the IP address of my target machine. So if I go with that rhost 10.0.0.190, the IP address of my target machine, and hit enter. Now I'll go with exploit. Let me run that once again. So as you can see that the exploit is completed and I got a shell. So if I go with who am I command, So it is saying I am root user. So if I go with ls, so I got the files that are part of that particular system which I hacked into. So these are the files. So this is how you gain access using Metasploit framework. This is manual, sorry, this is automated exploitation. In the next module, we will be looking at manual exploitation. This particular thing is automated exploitation. So in this particular instance, I got access as a root user. So not every time you will get access as a root user. Root user is like administrator in your Windows. So this particular root user has every right in this particular system. He can create files in any location. He can delete files. He can modify any permissions. He can open ports, close ports. He can do anything that is possible in this particular system. So this time we got lucky and we got root user, because this exploit will give us the super user access. But not every time you will get this root user. You'll get something called normal user permissions or normal user access. So in this particular advanced network pen testing, we'll look at something called manual exploitation. And as I said earlier, not every time we'll get root user. Sometimes we'll get access as a normal user. So at that time, we have to do something called privilege escalation. We have to elevate our privileges. We have to do some certain set of steps depending on the type of system we hacked into. And we have to analyze that particular system, all the services that are running there. We have to, use some extra modules to gain access as a super user. So ultimate aim when you are accessing or when you are trying to hack into a system is gain access as a root user. So that is your ultimate aim or ultimate motto. So whatever your task is, whatever your aim is, basically you can achieve that by gaining access as a root user. So that privilege escalation thing will be discussed in this particular advanced network pen testing module. As part of this particular module, we'll be looking at something else called post exploitation. So take a scenario where a robber comes into a house. So he opens the key using his fake tools. He'll enter the house. He'll take whatever he can lay his hands on. And while leaving, what will he do? So he found a camera there. Also, he found a server computer there. What will he do? He'll destroy that server computer, right? So what he's doing here, he's covering his tracks. So basically, while hacking or when you hacked into a system, you will do modifications, whatever you want, like creating a backdoor or exfiltering the data or downloading some content, etc. So after doing all those steps, what you have to do is you should clear your steps. For example, clearing the logs. For example, let's say I'm entering into a facility. There is some facility, I'm entering into it. While entering, I have to write my details near the watchman. For example, take the example of an apartment. If I'm entering the apartment, so my purpose is malicious. I'm not going to visit a friend. I'm going to rob that particular flat or whatever. So while entering the apartment, I have to write my name and mobile number in the register, right? So I'll write that. I'll enter into the house. I'll rob. I'll there is some diamond or something in there. So I'll rob it. I'll put it in my pocket. And while returning back, I have to take away my details from this particular register, or else they'll know that this particular person entered at this particular time. So I'll do something. I'll manipulate that watchman. I'll make sure he's nowhere near that registry book. I'll tear that page or I'll strike off my name, something like that. So that you got the essence, right? So basically, while hacking also, we'll do something called post exploitation, where in post exploitation, we'll be creating backdoors or exfiltrating data. After doing all those things, we'll do something called erasing our footsteps. So that will be discussed in this particular advanced network pen testing module. Also, we'll be doing something called pivoting and double pivoting. For example, there are 100 systems in an organization. So as a hacker, I identified a weak system and I entered into it. So now, as I gained access to this particular system in hundreds of systems, I want to jump into other systems as well. So I want to gain access into other systems. What are the services that are running in other systems? I want to gain access to them. So at that situation, I'll do something called pivoting. So jumping from one system to another system is nothing but pivoting. So if I want to go to another system from the second system that I gained access to, that is nothing but double pivoting, triple pivoting, 4 times. You can do that multiple times. You can jump from one system to another system. So that will be discussed as part of advanced network pen testing module. Moving on, we have cryptography. So as you can see in this particular picture, this is some spy. He is trying to communicate with his superiors, MI6, some British Secret Service, right? So his file is normal plain text file, like your normal notes, whatever you write in Notepad, that type of file. So he is encrypting it. He's utilizing a password to create a ciphertext. So this ciphertext is being transferred through an insecure medium, be it secure or insecure, doesn't matter, because I have encrypted it with a password. So I'm sending it to the person or my superior in MI6. So that person knows my password. So he'll utilize that password to decrypt that particular file. So he can read the plain text medium. So in this particular process, in middle, maybe there is some other intelligence service that is trying to capture what is being transferred between these two parties. So they might be able to lay their hands on this particular file, but they can't be able to decrypt it. So decryption is another thing that comes under different, different course, which is CHFI. But the basic essence is when you encrypt something, that can be decrypted unless they have the passkey or a word in that word list. For example, I'm going with something called, I'll say, password for my file as password. So you have a list of words. So in that list of words, you are able to manage to write that name in that password field. For example, I'll show you here with an example. Sorry. Let me open my Kali Linux here. So this is my Kali terminal. So for example, you have OTPs, right? So basically, how many characters does an OTP contain? 4, right? So I'll use some tool called Crunch. So here it is. So basically, I'm utilizing the what I'm saying here is minimum 4 characters, maximum 4 characters. So OTP might start with 0000, so you won't get that type of OTP, and ends with 9999. So these are the possible combinations. So I'm creating this word list with minimum 4 characters and maximum 4 characters, and I'm passing something through this file. So let us see the contents of this file here. Let me copy this. So I'll open another tab. I'll say cat paste. So this is the file. So in this particular thing, I'm providing numeric. So when you say numeric, so this numeric list contains numbers 0 to 9. So these are the numbers that are possible combinations. So here I'm providing numeric, as you can see here, and I'm sending that output to otp.txt file. So if I hit enter, the file is generated. And if I cat the content of otp.txt file, you can see it generated different words containing these OTPs. So if I am fortunate enough to lay my hands on a website that is not checking how many attempts that I'm trying to log in, so in that scenario, I can do something called brute forcing. By brute forcing, I can maybe in these different combinations, one combination is right. So I can get access to that particular interface or website. So that is the danger. So in this particular ciphertext, if you have that password word, just like in this word list, there is this OTP somewhere in this file, right? So there is a chance that we can lay hands on the right number. So similarly, if you have this particular password in your word list, there is a chance that you can decrypt that particular file. That's the reason why everyone will suggest you to go with a complex password. So your password must be minimum of 8 characters with a combination of small letters, capital letters, numerics, special characters, etc. So depending on the size of your password, for example, if you go with 8, it is okay, fairly good. If you go with 16 characters, that is impossible to decrypt. It will take, even for a supercomputer, somewhere around 1,000 years or 10,000 years. So depending on the processing speed of that computer. So that's the reason why every website or every social networking site or any other site or banking site will ask you to go with a stronger password with different combinations. So let me show you one another example in cryptography. So I'll go to my desktop. So basically you have this kali.jpg, right? So this is a normal logo. So you might think I have done something with this. Okay, I'll delete this one. I'll download a new one for your understanding. I'll say Kali logo, enter. So this one seems interesting. Save image as, so it is a JPG file, good enough for me. Say Kali, okay, desktop, save. So you got this kali.jpg file here. Okay, this is a normal file I just downloaded. So here is secret, right? So this contains some text here. So I want to do, what I want to do is I want to embed this particular file inside this one. So what I'll do is tag hide what is it? Secret, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm using Kali as my cover file and the secret as my embed file. So I'm embedding this secret file inside this kali.jpg. So if I hit enter, it is asking for passphrase. I'll give my some random password here. So I'll hit enter. Done. So I'll delete this particular file in front of you. Delete, delete. All right. So if I open this particular thing, it is a normal file, normal image file. So let's just say in the same scenario, I've done this encryption thing. I'm sharing it through any other medium. I'm sharing it through my Facebook or WhatsApp chat to my superiors. So anyone, if for example, if anyone laid hands on this particular file, so what they'll think is this is some file, image file. They'll open it. They won't see anything. This is a plain file. This has nothing in it. So they'll think, okay, it is a normal image file. But I'll share the secret with my superiors. So there is some file inside it. I'll tell them the technique, how to open the contents of this particular file. And I'll also share the password through some other medium. I'll send an email or I'll send a hand note, something like that. So while if they want to see the data inside it, and they'll go with tag hide, extract, right? So it is asking for passphrase. I'll enter the passphrase. So wrote extracted data to secret. So earlier I have deleted this file, remember? So it is back again, and you can see the secret message. So this is how you embed your data using different tools. This is nothing but steganography. So you can use different files like audio files to hide your data using deep sound. You can do something called disk encryption using a tool called or software called Veracrypt. I'll show you in this particular module. So moving on, what is the time? Okay, it is 8. So I'll wrap up as soon as possible. Bear with me. So Active Directory pen testing. So Active Directory pen testing is something that is widely implemented in most of the organizations. So basically what is happening is you'll have thousands of computers in an organization, right? So if an admin wants to do some change in a computer, if he wants to update a computer or add new user to that particular computer, uh, what he have to do? In a conventional way, you have to go to each and every computer and you have to add that user manually. So that is a hectic process when you have thousands of computers, right? So in this particular scenario, what they came up with is Active Directory environment. So where you'll be having a domain controller, which is a server machine, let's say. So this domain controller is connected with all the computers that are there in your organization. So you might have 1,000 computers, 10,000 computers, no matter the count. You'll add all those computers to this domain controller. So you'll use something called Active Directory domain controller software to control these machines. So in this particular software, you can do all the changes that you want to do. For example, you got internship program in your company, and today 10 employees from outside colleges came to your organization for internship program. So they'll stay for 1 month only in your organization. So for that 1 month, you want to provide some permissions to them, so they can access all the systems that are there in your Active Directory environment. But provided they are only able to access only few files, so not all the files can be accessed by them. So what you will do in that scenario is you will go to your DC, you'll add those users, you'll set the permissions so that they are limited to using only few resources of your organization. So and you will create them and you will share the passwords with them, usernames and passwords. So they can access these computers, any computers in the organization, but with limited permissions. So this is how Active Directory is implemented. So as part of this particular module, I'll show you how to set up this environment in your machine. Also, do something called Active Directory enumeration. So gathering the usernames, admin user names, etc. in this particular Active Directory environment. So, as I said earlier, gaining access as the root user is the main aim of any hack. Similarly, in Active Directory pen testing, gaining access as domain administrator is the main task. So, if you can lay hands on domain administrator ID and password, you can do anything in this Active Directory environment. You can disrupt that business. For example, I laid hands on this domain administrator access account. I can remove the employees that are there in the organization. So that will affect the organization's functionality. I can edit the organization's website. I can deface it. I can do anything. So that is the major, disadvantage in this particular Active Directory environment. So that will be discussed in this module. Moving on, we have cybersecurity compliances. So any idea what a compliance means? Online, any idea what a compliance means? Exactly. Yeah, I got it. I got it. Yeah, you're closer. Online, any idea? You can type in chat or you can unmute yourself and talk.
No, we don't have. No, I don't have any ideas.
Right, right. Okay, it's okay. No issues. All right, I'll tell you. So basically, compliances means some set of rules. So, for example, I want to start a food business in India. So, what I have to do? I have to get a license from Food Corporation or whatever the other creative body is. I have to, maintain a proper kitchen environment. I have to maintain the hygiene. So, those are the things I have to comply in order to start a business. Similarly, in organizations, they have to abide by some set of rules set forth by the government or whatever the organizing body that is there in that particular country. So these set of rules and regulations are designed in such a way that they protect the user's data. For example, you are logging into Facebook, right? So what you will provide? Your username, your password, your mobile number, email address. Some people will add their hometown, school, college, all details, right? So these details are something called personally identifiable information. So many of you are familiar with credit cards, right? You'll be using credit cards. So you'll see some news like credit card details are leaked online or Facebook passwords are leaked online. So what is basically happening here is, let me show you. For example, if I entered my password in Facebook, that password will not be stored in plain text format. For example, if I go with, let's say, echo, my password is password only. So I'll pass this to MD5. Sorry. So we got a hash here. So even though my password is simple, a safe password, but it won't be stored in Facebook server like this. It will be stored like this. So when they say some data breach occurred, this is what is being leaked to hacker. So hacker lays hands on this type of hash. So earlier we discussed word list, right? Creating OTP word list. Similarly, I can create a word list that says password or different combinations of password or different password possibilities. So in place of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I can provide A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. So I can ask create a word list containing 8 characters as minimums. I'll show you here. CRUNCH. So I want minimum of 8 characters, maximum of 8 characters. So this is similar, right? Many websites are, for example, many social networking sites will ask you to set a password containing minimum of 8 characters. So most of you will go with 8 only. But if you are, fortunate, I mean, if you are thinking good, or if you are paranoid or security oriented, you'll go with 16 characters or 10 characters, which is more safer. So basically most of us will go with 8 characters only. So if I say crunch to create a word list containing minimum of 8 characters and maximum of 8 characters, and if I'll provide A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K word list, and if I'll hit enter, it will create a word list. That word list will contain somewhere around 10 TB of data, maybe 10 TB. So my system, I'm not executing this particular command because my system doesn't have that many resources. But hackers, what they'll do is they'll create something called botnet. Botnet. So in that particular botnet, they'll have hundreds of systems. So they'll share these resources in that botnet. And for example, they'll store 100 GB in one system, another 100 GB in another system, 2 GB in one system. Like that, they'll create a world list using that botnet, right? Using that botnet, creating this world list, they'll, try to crack this hash. So if they are fortunate enough to lay hands on the password, the plain text password that is associated with this particular hash, they'll get your password. So basically, this algorithm is somewhat secure, mostly hard, because Facebook is a big organization. They'll follow heavy set of standards and standard practices. So what I am trying to say here is compliances. If Facebook data breach happened and my password got leaked, only this hash format will be leaked. If that hash is cracked by the hacker, they'll lay hands on the plain text password. So if Facebook is not storing the data in this hash format, what will happen is the hacker will directly get the plain text password. So what will happen? The reputation loss for Facebook. So since it is a big organization, many users will discontinue using that Facebook service. So it will lose its credibility. Also, the users, they'll lose their account. So this is the major flaw. Sorry, Chan. So this is the major flaw when you don't follow security compliances. So moving on, we have module number 12, module number 13, module number 14. So web application fundamentals, web application pen testing, bug bounty secrets. So up till now, what we did is we compromised the systems, right? Using the services and applications that are running in those systems. So now we'll look at something called web fundamentals. So in this particular module, we'll be discussing all the enumeration techniques, scanning techniques related to the websites. For example, let me show you. So I have a machine running in my network with the IP address 232. I'll go with nmap 10.0.0.232 JPM. Enter. So as you can see, there is a port number 80 open with HTTP service. I'll try to access that. Okay. So I'll say 10.0.0.232. So it is saying it works. So I'll use a tool called Nikto. So if I hit enter, so this particular Nicto tool is scanning that web page. So here basically we can only see this particular text here and nothing else, right? So if I go with robots.txt, so it is saying not found. But some websites you can see this robots.txt file or this particular directory available, and it will reveal some juicy information regarding that website. So it's okay. Let us see the scan results of this particular site. So here you can see that it is saying this might be interesting. It has something called secret. So let me try to access that secret folder. Secret. So the page is loading. Okay, meanwhile, I'll close this particular Nicto scan. Let us wait for this site to run. Meanwhile, I'll run another tool called Drib, which is nothing but directory bus. So this particular tool, Drib, what it will do is it will use a world list, inbuilt world list to brute force this particular web page. So it will look for hidden directories, just like the secret directory we found here. We'll get a bunch of different other directories as well. So let me run that particular thing. So let it run. So let us wait for this thing to load. So you can see here it is saying my secret blog. So it is trying to load. So this is not something that is a problem with internet or anything. The page is built like that. There is something, some important component missing in this particular web page. I'll show that in the class. Uh, just wait for it to load. So meanwhile, this web scan is almost over. Let me stop that because it is utilizing my resources. So meanwhile, while it is loading, let us discuss other things. So as part of web fundamentals, we will be looking at different enumeration concepts, just like I have shown you drip and Nicto scan. So we'll be using different tools that are available in Kali to scan those web pages and gain as much as information we can on those web pages. In web application pen testing, we'll be looking at something called OS top 10 risks. And we'll also look at one important tool called Burp Suite. Using this particular tool called Burp Suite, we can scan for web pages, we can brute force those login pages, we can identify different, different hidden web pages using this particular Burp Suite tool. Also, we'll be looking at something called OS Zap. So that is a similar tool to Burp Suite, which is mostly of similar purpose. Apart from that, we'll be looking at something called web application firewalls. So earlier we have we have discussed about normal firewalls, right? Right. In organizations, we implement firewalls. Similarly, domains or web pages will have firewalls. So in order to prevent hackers from scanning those services, so how to bypass these firewalls will be discussed as part of web application pen testing. Let us see if this is loaded. Okay, it is taking so long. Mm. Okay, so let's move on. So as part of module number 14, we have bug bounty secrets. So earlier I said web application pen testing, right? So basically in web application pen testing, what will happen is they'll call individuals from outside. They'll ask them to conduct pen tests. So these individuals will be charging some great amounts of money. So this is quite economical. So in order to avoid that, there is something called bug bounty. So what these organizations that are not, able to bear such high costs of a pen test, what they'll do is they'll post their advertisements, just like job sites. There'll be some websites that will organize these bug bounties. So they'll post their ad in that particular web page, and these bug bounty people who are bug bounty hunters, they'll register for that particular thing. They'll be able to access a sandbox environment of that particular web page, and they'll conduct series of tests. So after conducting these series of tests, they'll find some bugs. They might find some bugs or they might not find some bugs. If they are fortunate enough to find those bugs, so they'll have to do something called report writing. So they'll put the screenshots, whatever they found. They'll write the details of those bugs they found and any security measures that are need to be taken in order to avoid those bugs and all. So this report will be sent to the organization. So organization, what they'll do is they'll analyze this report. If they find it valid and useful, they'll offer the bounty, whatever it is utilized for this particular bug, and they'll send that bounty to that particular user. So this is all about bug bounty. So we'll be looking at mind maps, how to write reports regarding these bugs and all as part of this particular module. I'll be discussing some of easiest techniques. For example, there are multiple methods to do a particular thing, right? So you instead of wasting your time, since this bug bounty is totally dependent on time, we'll be looking at tools that makes your job easier as part of this particular module. Let us see if this is loaded. Uh, this is taking all the time in the world. Okay, I'll do something here. Okay, sorry for that. I think that machine is not ready. Just give me a second here. I'll check if another machine is up and running. Okay, we'll revisit this particular thing again. But for now, let us move on to the another module, which is module number 15, mobile application pen testing. So in this particular module, we'll be looking at something called routing. So many of you are familiar with routing, right? No? Yeah, okay. No issues. So basically, what will happen here is there are some set of security measures that are implemented in your mobile devices. So jailbreaking or overcoming those security measures is called routing. So this will be discussed in mobile application pen testing module. Also, we'll be creating some backdoor or payload using MSF Venom and sending it to your mobile devices. If the target executes that particular page or sorry, particular exploit, sorry, my bad, particular malware, you'll be getting a backdoor or you'll be getting a reverse connection. So we'll discuss how to share this particular malware with the target, what are the different methods to utilize use that particular thing and all in this particular module. If the target executes this malware thinking that this is a legit file, for example, you will be creating a game file, or you'll be attaching this malware to a game file, existing game, and sharing that APK with the target. If the target thinks this is a legit file and he executes that particular thing in his mobile phone, you'll be getting the backdoor connection. And through that connection, you can access the mobile call logs, SMS, or any other files that are there in his operating system. So this is what we'll be doing in mobile application pen testing. And coming to wireless pen testing. So in this particular module, we'll be looking at different security protocols in Wi-Fi's. For example, WEP, which is the oldest protocol in wireless pen testing. Also, we'll be looking at WPA, WPA2, how to hack these protocols, how to utilize these security protocols and hack into those Wi-Fi's, how to gain passwords of those Wi-Fi's. We'll be looking at different enumeration tactics here. Also, we'll be looking at something called aircrack essentials. So, in this particular tool can be utilized to crack these passwords. You know, capture the packets from different networks, etc. So that is all about wireless pen testing. Mostly, we'll be doing this particular Wi-Fi pen testing just to be secure for ourselves. It's not like you have to hack your neighbor's password or your friend's password. That is not the main aim. This is only purely ethical thing. We'll be looking at how to secure ourselves, how to secure our network. So that is the main reason why we'll conduct this wireless pen testing. So moving on, we have social engineering. So let me see the time. Okay, we still have time, I guess. So social engineering. So in this particular thing, we'll be looking at something called phishing attacks. So many of you might be familiar with this particular WhatsApp forward, which says "spin the wheel," which is from Facebook or Amazon. So few years earlier, many of you have noticed this forward, right? When you open that particular link and you can see you'll able to see a wheel. When you spin that wheel, it will say you got iPhone. So to access or get that iPhone, you have to share this particular link with 10 other WhatsApp contacts. So when you do that, when you enter your information there, basically what is happening is you are giving your information to the hacker. So whatever that is, your username or your passwords or whatever it is, you're just giving him on a silver plate. Let us see that how we can fake or create a fake page. So there is something called SC toolkit. Okay, now this page is rendered. Okay, fine. So earlier there is nothing, but now you can see a web page here, right? So this is how you can extract the secret data or secret directories that are part of a web page using different tools like Nikto and Trib. So we'll discuss more about this particular tool or a particular website in the class environment. But for now, since the time is the constraint for us here, let me move on to other modules. So here we have something called social engineering attacks, website attacks, credential harvester, site cloner. So I want to clone LinkedIn login page. So I'll say LinkedIn, enter. So I got this LinkedIn sign up page. So I'll copy this link. Sorry. So I'll copy this particular link. Also, I'll check my IP address first. IF config. So it is 150. So I'll provide the same here 10.0.0.150. So it is asking the site to which I want to clone myself into. So I'll paste it here. Enter. So it is done. If I open the browser, if I search for 10.0.0.150, which is my IP address. So I got a similar login page here. So as you can see, there is no difference. This is the original one. You can see the link here, linkedin.com. This one says my thing. So this can be spoofed using different tools that will be discussed later. But for now, this is the idea. If I share this particular thing with the target, he'll think that. So basically, I'll give you a scenario. So I'll send an email, phishing email, saying that okay, your profile is shortlisted for so and so job. So the pay will be like 50,000 per month. You'll be given all these allowances and all. So if the target is desperate for the job and he thinks that this particular thing is legit, he'll click on this link. So that link basically what it will say is, please log into your LinkedIn profile so that we can take your profile to your next step. So if the target thinks this is legit and he enters his address, email ID here, I'll say karthik@gmail.com. I'll say my password is something. So I'll hit enter, don't save. So as you can see here, it is taking me back to LinkedIn login page. So at this scenario, what I'll think is, okay, there is some internet issue. That's why the login didn't happen. I'll enter my login credentials again and I'll log into LinkedIn, but I won't get anything. So I'll think, okay, the link is some, depreciated or maybe that advertisement is wrong. So I'll move on with my life. So I'll forget about it basically. So what happens in the background is the hacker is capturing all my credentials here. So I entered karthik@gmail.com, as you can see here. And let me search for the password where it is. So here it is, the session password. So I entered 1Q2W3E4R. So the hacker was able to successfully gain my LinkedIn credentials. So in this scenario, I gave LinkedIn. I might as well, clone the page of Facebook or Instagram or any other banking website. But that is not easy. Banking websites have multiple steps of authentication mechanisms. So yeah, so that is the idea how hackers, create phishing pages. So those techniques and tricks will be discussed in this particular module. Also, it is mainly discussed. This particular module is induced in this particular course because in order to create awareness in the candidates. This is not meant to hack someone else. So the idea is to to inculcate the knowledge in you to not get scammed like this. So you learn it here. You'll go to your home. You'll share it with your friends and family. So they'll be secure from these type of attacks. So if you go with cybersecurity or any other hacking news, you'll be mostly seeing that 90% of attacks are mostly associated with social engineering only. So hacking a person is easy than hacking a computer. So we all have different mindsets, right? We'll listen to something called greed or fear, right? So in that particular scenario, it will be easy to hack our minds. So that is why many companies are looking into creating this awareness in their employees. So moving on, we have cloud security. So recent years, many businesses, many online classes or any other jobs are shifting towards cloud environment. So it is important for us to know what sort of vulnerabilities or threats that are associated with this cloud environment as well. So in this particular module, we will be creating our own cloud instance using own cloud, and using this own cloud, we'll be looking at different, enumeration concepts regarding cloud concepts. For example, I'm an admin user, and I direct my employees what to do and what not to do in this particular cloud instance. So if I am able to gain access as an admin user, because most of the admins, what they'll do is they'll go with default passwords. I'll say my username is admin. I'll go with my password as admin at the rate 123. So most of the admins, they doesn't care about their passwords and all. So they'll leave it with default credentials. So if I am able to access admin's account, and what I'll say is I'll upload a malware in my cloud instance, and I'll ask my employees, so this is the new Windows patch. Please update it. So what they'll think, since it is coming from admin user, they'll think it is legit, and they'll execute that particular malware. So if I say there are thousands of employees in my organization, all those thousands of employees executed that malware, what will happen? I gain my hands on thousands of machines at a time. So that is the botnet I said earlier. So this is the main disadvantage when you are using a cloud service. So that will be discussed in this particular module. Moving on, we have scripting. So best way to learn a language is talking with natives. Here she is talking with Python to learn Python. So yeah, since I already told you earlier, learning these scripting languages is not mandatory for hacking purposes, but having the knowledge of them is something of an add-on. So here I have something called ping sweep, right? So I'll show you what ping is earlier before going to that particular file. For example, I'm saying ping 10.0.0. I have this 222 machine in my network. So if I say ping, okay, this is not happening. Okay, let me do it with my other machine. So I'm getting replies here. So basically what I'm saying is pinging. Pinging is nothing but calling, let's say. If I'm calling my friend, so if he picks up phone, the chance I can confirm that he is alive. If he is not picking up my phone, the chances are he might as well be dead, right? So he is alive and he's not responding. That is one chance. He is not alive. That's why he is not responding. That is another chance. So these are the two chances. Similarly, if I'm picking a machine which is at 150 IP address, so the chances are the machine is closed. In that scenario, I won't get any replies. But if I'm getting replies, that means that machine is up and running. So as you can see here, I send a ping probe to that machine and I got replies here, 3 replies. So I have sent 3 probes, I got 3 replies. So if I send 10 probes, I should get 10 replies. So that means the machine is up and running. So you can see here, 3 packets transmitted, 3 received, 0% packet loss. So this is the basic idea. So if I similarly, if I want to know what are the machines that are there in my network, so the IP addresses ranges from. Let me show you the contents of this ping sweep. So the IP address range from 1 to 254. That means there is a possibility of 255 systems in my network. So performing this particular ping on each and every system like this. For example, I'll go with 151. So it is replying okay. 152. So this is the hectic task for me, right? So I have to type each and every number starting from 1 to 255. So this is the heavy task. So for that purpose, I'll utilize some script here. So basically what I'm saying here is, you're similar with scripting, right, madam? You're similar with scripting. So basically what is happening here is these 3 numbers are constant. I'm only changing this particular IP instance. So I'm replacing 1 for the first instance. If I'm getting 64 bytes, then okay, the system is up and running. If I'm not getting, okay, move on to number 2, number 3, number 4, up to 254. So this is my script basically. So I'll save it. So I'll run this particular script using /. So it did the task for me. So instead of me typing every time ping this particular IP, I've run a automated script here. So I got all the IP addresses that are up and running. So these might not be all the IP addresses that are there in my range, but these are some of the networks because Windows systems will not reply to ping packets. So only Linux systems or some Windows systems will reply to this ping thing. So this is how you utilize the ping or whatever the scripting thing in your hacking purpose. So as part of this particular module number 19, we'll be looking at shell scripting, Python programming, also automating this pen testing thing using Python, just like we did earlier. So this is all about module number 19. Moving on to module number 20 and 21, we'll be looking at CPU architectures, what are the basic concepts like registers, memory, hack and steep and stack, etc. So basically, we are going to look at something called debuggers. So these debuggers, what they'll do is when a program is running, when a file is running. So they'll dissect that particular, they'll stop the program in its working condition. They'll dissect that particular program and they'll give us the information regarding how this memory is being allocated to this particular file, how the CPU is allocating resources to this particular file, etc. So using these debuggers, we'll do something called buffer overflow attack. So in binary exploitation, buffer overflow is a common type of attack, which is, regardless of the applications that are using this particular exploit, or sorry, this particular vulnerability is associated in the kernel level of the system. So regardless of what application you are using, what software you are using, this vulnerability will be present. So this vulnerability, will be triggered or will be known in this particular module using different concepts we learned earlier. For example, we learned Python programming, right? We'll write a simple exploit code using this Python programming in this particular module. We'll be exploiting this buffer overflow vulnerability. As you can see here, this bucket is overflowing. So buffer overflow happens when the allocated memory is exceeded. For example, you are able to learn or you are able to read one page per minute in a book. What if I give you a task so that you have to read 5 pages in a minute in this particular book? What happens? Your memory will get exhausted. Similarly, in computer, what happens is if the data or whatever the processes that are there are exceeding the capacity of the memory, they'll get overflow. So using this particular vulnerability, we'll be exploiting the system. So that is what we learn in module number 21. Moving on, module number 22, 23, and 24. This is SOC. Just give me a second here. Yeah. So what happens basically in this three modules is we are monitoring the system. Earlier we have looked into firewalls, right? IP table rules, firewalls, etc. So no matter how many defenses, how many patches you are setting in your organization, monitoring your traffic is very important. For example, there is a robbery happened in an ATM center. So there is a watchman who is a firewall for us, and there is a CC camera, which is a monitoring system for us. So the robbers entered, they beat up the watchman, or the watchman is sleeping, or whatever. They entered into ATM center. They robbed that ATM using different tools and etc. Later that day or the next day, when the authorities came to know that the robbery happened, what they'll do is they'll check the CCTV footage. So basically, CCTV will not stop the robber from robbing the bank or the ATM. What they'll do is they'll give you an insight of how this robbery happened, what they did, how many of robbers came, what tools did they use, how much money did they, were able to compromise, etc. So SOC is similar to that CCTV. So when you implement SOC systems or SIEM in your organization, the software and hardware combination, they'll capture the traffic, they will analyze the traffic, they'll capture the packets so that we can analyze that particular traffic that is coming into our system and leaving out of our system. So for that purpose, we'll be using two softwares. QRadar and Splunk. So QRadar is designed by IBM. Let me show you the interface of QRadar. So this is the login page. So this is the interface of QRadar. You'll be having dashboards, offenses, log activity, network activities. Let me look at log activity here. So as of now, there is no traffic, and you can see you are getting traffic here slowly. Let me start a service in my server. Just give me a second here. So if you give it a minute, you'll be able to see different logs coming into your system. Let me just slide this particular thing here. So you can see you are getting logs from USA, uh, different other countries, UK here. So you can see that source IP, destination IP, the time at which this particular log is coming. If I want to analyze this particular log here, I'll pause the traffic. So I want to know what this particular log is saying. It is saying SSH login failed. So I'll double tap on it. I can see the information regarding that log. So the source IP is this one, the destination IP is this one. So I can find different data saying it is saying here failed password for invalid username. So this is what is happening in the background. So if you can slide down, you can see different information if it is available. Okay. So what I can do here is basically I can analyze the traffic that is coming into my system. So this will be useful. For example, if there is a attack happened on my interface or in my system or the network of systems that are there in my organization. So after the attack happened, this SOC system or this QRadar won't stop that attack. But what it will do is it will capture what is whatever that is happened. So later, when this particular admin user or the SOC analyst, when he identifies this traffic, he'll analyze this package and he'll decide what type of attack it is, how it happened, what vulnerability in the system led to this particular attack, what is the magnitude of the attack, is it severe, is it okay. So here the severity is 3. If the severity is like somewhere around 8 or 9 or 10, it is a high level attack. So, so we can calculate the magnitude of that attack. Here you can see network activity. Earlier we saw log activity. Here you are able to see the network activity. So here you can create assets. Assets are nothing but the devices that are part of our system. So any computer, any server, any network connected device that has an IP address is called as asset in QRadar environment. Also, you can create reports. For example, you identified an attack and you want to report it to your other piece. So using this reports tab, you can create reports. So this admin tab is used for administrative purposes. So you can do a bunch of different things using this particular admin tab. So this is basically the idea of QRadar and how its interface will look like. And also, similarly in SOC, we'll be looking at different techniques and tricks that we can use to analyze these packets. For example, there is a brute force happening on a login page. For example, you are a user, you are trying to log into your Facebook account. So you'll be able to log in or give your password maximum of 5 times or so. After 5 times, it will say verify using your mobile number or your email address or try after some time. So these are the security mechanisms there. What if some user, he's a legit user, he forgot his password. So he'll try 2 or 3 times and he'll go with forgot password. But what if the same user is trying to log in 100 times? So that is considered as brute force attack, right? So in SOC, we'll be looking at something called alerts. So in this particular scenario, when there is hundreds of attacks or hundreds of attempts happening, so that will capture all these packets and send alerts to the admin user or the SOC analyst, whoever is working on that particular system. So these types of things will be discussed as part of this Splunk module. So these are the 24 modules that are going to be part of your CSP course. So prerequisites for this course is, as I said earlier, ability to browse internet and install packages, basic understanding of computer fundamentals. So this is all that you need to enter this particular course. Also coming to system requirements. So we are asking a minimum of 8 GB RAM. So 8 GB of RAM is very minimum. 16 GB is recommended. So basically in your AD environment, you will be installing something called your DC and you'll be joining your Windows 10 and Windows 7 machines to that. So each machine will occupy around 2 to 4 GB of RAM. So if you are allocating or if you are installing so many machines, your resources will get depleted. That's the reason why we are asking a minimum of 8 GB and maximum can be anything. Recommended is 16 GB. And your processor can be i5 or equivalent or even better one. And a minimum of 250 GB of free storage space. Also, if you are attending, since this particular thing is totally offline, it's fine with the internet speed. We are providing a good internet speed here. But if you are by any chance after starting this course, you are unable to attend a day or two, we'll provide a Zoom link for you. So at the time, you have to have a minimum of 15 Mbps internet speed, so that you will be able to listen to the classes without any buffering and all. So that is all prerequisites for this particular course. So why Hacker School? So basically, we are offering 300 plus hours of training and practice. So these training and practice sessions will be held at Hacker School premises in Hyderabad itself. So I'll be teaching you this entire course. Also, I'll be providing some practice sessions as well in between the modules. For example, we have 4 practical assessments in this particular course. So after every 4 modules or 5 modules, I'll be conducting a practical assignment. It's not like the assignment you'll be facing in colleges or universities. It's not like that. We won't judge you and all. So it's basically provided in such a way that you'll get an idea of what you learned. For example, after completion of 5 modules, or first 5 modules, you'll be given a practical assignment. So that in this practical assignment, when you complete it, you'll understand what are the topics that you learn. It is open book totally. You can refer internet or anything. No issues. You can do that in your free time as well. So you'll get thorough with your learning. You'll get practice time for that. So you'll also be given some CTF missions, capture the flag. So we'll give you a machine. You'll be asked to capture the flag that is there in root users location and normal users location. So that is for the practice. Also, we'll be providing recorded lectures. Also, there will be Discord support. So Discord is an app which is used to communicate between users. So you will be given Discord access where we'll be posting job alerts. Also, we'll be given the sample resumes, how to build your profile and all. We'll also provide career guidance. So when I say job alerts in Discord, we'll have a channel where we'll post these jobs that are there in the market regularly. So you can just open that particular tab. You can check these requirements for that particular job and apply to those jobs if you are interested. So that is all from our side. Also, we have a good team here in Hacker School who will provide you assistance with any sort of queries you have at in Discord. You can ask your doubts there as well. You can also discuss with your fellow classmates or attendees. So no internship. Yeah, we'll provide an internship certificate for whatever the time that you spend in our course. So no issues. Internship certificate will be provided. For further details regarding internship, you can contact our administration team. All right. So I'm stopping the recording at this point. Any questions you can ask me.